just going to welcome people.
Yeah.
Taylor, what's your last name?
Hammerson.
It's not Marie.
No. Actually, that's not right.
Is it? Hey. Just want to welcome everyone. If you're here, welcome. We'll be starting in just a bit, but I want to point out this flyer. If some of you gotten, it looks like maybe a few of you gotten it. Okay, great. Then I shouldn't have to explain it too much. Does anybody want to ask a question about what it is? Anybody? Anybody? Yeah? Yeah, I'm going to try and turn this up. Maybe this one works better. Hello? That one works a little bit better. I just like the music. Okay. Yeah, just point it. Just take a look at this. We'll refer to this later, but welcome, and we'll start in just a few minutes. Enjoy yourselves, okay? Hello. Check. 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 Oh, that's better. Hello. Yes. Who left?
Olga went to grab some printouts and just in her car. She'll be right back.
Hello, Allie. Hi. Oh, yeah, he's not here. I know Tom. He was wearing a baseball hat last night. I remember him. I know Tom. No, I don't think that's him. Open with prayer. baby. Soraya. Here you are. I just have to see a brand new baby. It's just right over here. Hi. Look at her. She's so precious. Look at her. Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh. She's so gorgeous. Look at that girl. No. Don't take her out of there. No, don't take her out of there.
Howdy.
Yeah. Just take her out. Yeah. Oh, squirrel. All right, so let me just welcome everyone one more time, and we'll open with a word of prayer. Welcome to the DC Citizens Coalition meeting. I feel like we have a pretty succinct agenda tonight. It's not going to be too long, but my heart's been kind of heavy for this being kind of D-Day for many people. I've heard lots of stories already, and we'd like to hear from you. I'd actually like to pray for anyone who is going through frontline kind of consequences for having to stand up for your freedoms. So with that, let me just ask us all that with God's help, just to lift up us all up above all the clouds of all this darkness. Just lift us up above it and rise us up to a place that people don't understand why we could still be happy and faith-filled and things like that. So let's just bow our heads. Father, thank you so much for this time. We want to honor you and thank you because you are the King of all kings. You're the Lord of lords. We trust in you and know that this world we should expect to be a world that just doesn't understand the way we were designed to live, the way you made us, Lord. And so we're not shocked. But at the same time, we want to lift up this meeting tonight and pray your blessing for us and on us. Reveal to us things that are hidden that we don't see. And Lord, we just trust that you'll be here with us. Thank you for tonight. Amen. All right, I'm here just to kind of kick us off. And I think it's Olga's going to come on up. Why don't you come on up here? And we're going to do the Pledge of Allegiance, and we'll do that right now in just a second. Everybody stand up together. I pledge allegiance to the flag. Of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay. Very good. That one works. This one works.
Okay, this is good. All right. Thank you, everybody, for coming again to yet another meeting. And our numbers are still good. Maybe a little light today, but like Jeff said, today was a D-Day for a lot of people. And we are with all of those who are experiencing hardship today in our thoughts and prayers. And the proposition still stands. If anybody needs dinner on the table, we'll cook for you. These are not just empty words. So the coalition is here to catch those that fall. So I want that to be known, and I want to assure everybody that that's why we're here. Okay. Meanwhile, we're going to continue to move forward and find solutions, because that's what we do. And actually, where's Sylvia? Sylvia got to visit. Oh, there you are, right in the front. Got to visit a town hall last night, and apparently, yet again, another group is impressed with how much we've done. And so I just want to compliment everybody on all the work that we've done in the last couple of months now, right? That since the coalition came together. Last meeting, as you remember, we filled out over 80 affidavits. We sent out letters to the nursing board. There was some movement for the Winston Dillard board, right? And anyway, so today we have even more items for you to do tonight. We have some updates for what has happened in the last 2 weeks. And then we're going to also hear from I hear we have some good news, right, Stephanie? So we're gonna hear some good news about what conspired today. Come on in, ladies. All right, so let's start off. Let's start off with what's on everybody's mind today. So I think I'm going to go ahead and give the mic to Stephanie, and let's just get to the biggest point today.
don't know if I'm supposed to stand or what. So,
You can come up here.
oh God, public speaking? No. I'll stand up here.
I'll be here.
Okay, good. No, I'm okay standing. So I'm not sure who, I know every single part of every one of you heading, and it's a small victory for me that today there was nursing students first and second year that met with the UCC's president, and we were given options to have our religious exemptions sponsored by UCC and honored by Mercy Medical Center. I am very grateful for everyone's work, and we do also have the option, which was not a previous option. They gave us 3 options, actually, and the work of the president and being very forthcoming in her efforts, and I feel like her work was very sincere in trying to keep students being educated and nurses coming into the field in a time where they're very needed. And so we will have to be tested once a week. There are still things that we can do to keep working and moving things forward, but this is a step in the right direction. They are also offering deferment to next year, which they were not offering before, if we would like to have a spot in next year's program. So yeah, these are steps in the right direction. So just thank you, everyone.
Thank you, Stephanie. Somebody else, right? Liz, is Liz here? Liz, would you like to come up here? This is Liz.
Hi. So I'm the billing supervisor at Umpqua Valley Ambulance. I've been fighting with my employer since August on this. There's only about 8 of us that have. And I've given my statements of rights from the Constitution, the Nuremberg Code, everything's been dismissed that I've submitted to them. Pretty much left aside, hoping that I would give in and get vaccinated. Today, back play, I was given a contract to sign for an agreement to go on leave without pay because I'm not getting vaccinated. And today they told me that they need that form back signed, and I told them that I'm not signing it because so many reasons, but ultimately it came down to that, just like and everybody's entitled to their choice for exemptions. No judgment there, but I didn't go for an exemption because I feel like it's more permission for the government to give me what I can do with my body, and that's just not acceptable. So I didn't sign this contract, and I told my boss today that they were not going to get that form signed by me by the end of today. She kind of looked at me like she was shocked, and I told her, I said, I've been given legal advice to not sign anything from you. And she goes, well, you have to sign it or you are terminating your employment. And I have the form right here. And I said, no. I said, this form says if I do not sign it, you will employment come October 19th. And they're like, no, that's the form stating that you will terminate your employment. So I argued with her again, in which it was getting pretty heated, so she walked out of the room. Whatever, I have my own office space, so it was cool. Yeah. So I'm messaging my family. I'm like, oh, like this just happened. I didn't get on video because I've been getting a lot of stuff on video at work when they're talking to me, and I wasn't able to get that. And so I emailed her a compilation of, you came in and this is what you said to me. This is not what this form says. I'm not signing it. I don't want to lose my job, but ultimately this is what it's come down to. And I'm really sorry for it. And I have a copy of that email too. And then my shift ends at 5. So my manager came in at 5 and he said, well, we're waiting on an email from Christy. So long story short, she emailed me back from what I sent her. and said that if I show up and enter the building tomorrow, law enforcement will be called and I will be trespassed from the property. And if I don't show up, they will consider me resigning from my position with or without bias. And now I'm at this meeting. So I called DCSO and I explained to the lady that I would need to talk to somebody. She asked why. I told her. She seemed surprised. And I'm waiting for somebody to call me back, but I doubt that'll happen before tomorrow. I got kids, so I can't really go to jail tomorrow, so I don't really know what to do.
Paul, you said you have a solution?
For those of you who don't know me, my name is Paul Romero. Yes, I am running for governor. Yes, I'm from Prineville, Oregon. I grew up there, and I'm here in Roseburg now. I've been leading the charge on this for the basically lawfare ammo, how to educate people on how to defend themselves from losing their jobs through this coercion and basically extortion, okay? The key is you have to use the correct verbiage when you talk to these people. You have to explain it to them. For example, sexual harassment. If I tell someone that they have to do this in order for them to keep their job or for me to leave them alone during their job, I'm extorting them and committing sexual discrimination, right? Is there any difference between them making you get a vaccine or your job? Exactly right. And you have to spell this out for them. You have to explain it to them. And that puts them in a different frame of mind. They're like, wait a minute. Ooh, this is a problem, okay? So what have I been doing? I work at the VA here in Roseburg, and they came out with a form that they wanted us all to sign, whether you got a vaccine, whether you had a medical exemption or a religious exemption, okay? The thing is, when you signed it, it said the same thing, that if you didn't follow all their directives, then they could terminate your employment, even if you got the vaccine. And I thought, well, why would they make that the case for people that got the vaccine? That's kind of odd, right? Well, the reason is that if you, who got the vaccine, all of a sudden sided with everybody else, now they actually have an excuse to violate your employment contract. So when you sign something, and it's good that you didn't, by the way, when you sign something, you're literally releasing them from your employment contract. When they come to you and demand that you sign something in regards to, with even requesting a medical or religious exemption, they are actually violating the non-discrimination clause of their employment contract, which is required by federal and state law. And they don't even understand that's what they've done. So you have to point it out to them, okay? So that's, in effect, what they're actually doing. They're actually discriminating against you, all these employees. So then, with what I've had to do, is I actually submitted a discrimination complaint form and a civil rights violation complaint form. And for the VA, interestingly enough, apparently the VA has been granted the authority of Congress and a sitting president to remove certain bases out of the civil rights complaint form. Oh yeah, it's missing the religious exemption and the medical. It's not even on the form. So they literally have rewritten the Civil Rights Act. Isn't that phenomenal? And today, I went through my chain of command. I'm a military guy, that's what I do. So I put all that stuff together with my lawfare ammo. The duress letter basically says, hey, you're trying to make me sign these things under duress and coercion. You've been sending me emails every day trying to guilt me into getting a vaccine to protect our veterans. No, okay, I'm tired of it. And I pointed this out to them in the letters and detailed all the laws, even Supreme Court precedent that protects all of us, right? Okay, so they get all this information. That was on the 6th of October. By the 8th of October, the day I was supposed to actually turn in that document, they came out with an email stating, whatever you do, do not submit that document to everybody in the VA. But then they're trying to get people to go online on this LEAF program and fill out that documentation about your vaccine, whether you have it or not. That's still discriminating against me. That is none of their dang business. If you have AIDS, does Walmart screen you when you come in? No. Can they? No. So why could they screen you for COVID? They can't. And they know this. That's why when you go into a lot of these places now, you walk in not wearing a mask, do they say anything? No, because their corporate lawyers went, we can't do this, we're going to get in a lot of trouble. Okay, so where am I at right now? Basically, after I turned in my form, they came back and said that, oh no, you can't note religious or medical complaint here. It's not discrimination, this form. Oh, like I'm going to trust this guy like he's an attorney. No, this guy doesn't know what he's talking about. So I have to actually go through the EEOC, which is kind of a mediary for that stuff, and we just got that all done today. The 18th was the cutoff. Guess what? I'm still going to work tomorrow. Okay, and for those people, when they tell you, oh, we're going to make compromises for you, we're going to give you a couple options. Since when, as Americans, do we have to go in and sign up for our rights every year? Never. That's right, never. They are yours. The only thing you can kind of do is actually give them away. However, there is a law that protects you in the event that you accidentally gave them away, not fully understanding what you did. So with lawfare ammo, for example, I have a duress letter if you've signed a document. I have a duress letter if you haven't, because then you're actually putting them on notice, according to law, that they are, in effect, coercing you and extorting you into taking action to protect your job. That's a real problem, okay? And they need to know this. They need to hear these words. This is what you're doing to me. You're discriminating against me. You're violating my civil rights. And it has nothing to do with the color of my skin. And it's been being done to equally to everybody. You had a question?
So I do also work with the media. I did sign that just for the simple fact.
Yep.
I don't know. I'm writing this way out until it ends somewhere.
Right.
So what advice do you have for us who have
Already signed it.
don't have the speaking ability and argumentative ability without getting all
Tom, would
Believe-
you repeat his questions?
Yeah, sure. Okay, his question is, what can the average person do if they're dealing with the same thing we're all dealing with? You may not be able to vocalize these things very well, and I understand that. But the thing is, your civil rights, the Civil Rights Act, all this information we're talking about, once you've read it a couple times, you just kind of know it. You understand it. Very simply, you are discriminating against me by making me address this issue. You're violating my civil rights in regards to medical and religious exemptions, which is none of your business at all, ever, under any circumstances. I don't care how many executive orders Joe Biden signs in this regard. In the VA, as you know, they reference all these executive orders in these directives they have now. Well, an executive order isn't even a law. It has its authority is more administrative, kind of internal management, not to dictate policy to every federal agency there is. It doesn't work that way, but that's how they're using it. But when you perceive that somebody has the power to impose these things on you, you have a tendency to kind of capitulate. You just let it go. So to finish answering your question, on my website, I get you a card. It's got my website there. I have a button on there that says lawfare ammo. It takes you to a number of documents. Two of the documents are duress letters. One is if you've signed something, and by you submitting that, it literally backs you out of what you already signed, okay? And the second thing, because you're basically telling them you're putting me under through coercion, extortion, and that's the only reason I signed this document. And that puts them on notice because there's other things in there. The second thing you're going to use, if you're a federal employee, I got a federal letter. If you're a state employee, I got a state letter. And it also actually includes in the state letter if you're like a nurse, okay, or you're in health industry. Actual Oregon state laws that they are violating. Even federal agencies are responsible to accommodate and follow state law. So that's also in the federal letter, and I can show you that. I'll give you an example of exactly what I submitted, what I'm going to be sharing with the EEOC as soon as that person calls me back. But in the meantime, because I've submitted these things, if they harass me, they come after me, they're in trouble because I have this filed. So it's going to be really important to actually file these things with your HR. I've had people go to their HR and say, hey, I need the discrimination complaint form. I need a civil rights complaint form. They go, oh, we don't have those. Fine. Submit the letters with this is my complaint to you for discriminating against me and violating my civil rights. So, and like I said, you're all going to become educated in the law. And it's not hard. Don't think of it as some big thing you can't do, because I'm telling you now, you're here now, you can learn this, you can understand this. Extortion. I gave you an example of extortion. Sexual harassment. That's a form of discrimination, and extortion. It is no different than them trying to impose a vaccine on you, or testing, or a mask. Something that's really fundamental you have to know and understand is this. These vaccines are not FDA approved. They are 100% experimental. The one that they say is approved isn't going to be available for 2 years. Okay? The PCR test, 2 months ago, FDA Class 1 recall. PCR saliva test. Why? Because they can't distinguish between any coronavirus. What's a coronavirus? COVID, every variant of COVID, every variant of the flu, every variant of the common cold, which is over 200. So when they tell you, oh, I'm sorry, you came up positive with the Delta variant, they are lying. They have no way of knowing this. No way of knowing this. So that person is lying to you, which kind of pisses me off. What kind of person, what kind of conscience do you have if you're going to lie to people about something that important? Yes?
So to bring this full circle, this young lady has asked, what can I do now? If I show up for work, I'm going to be arrested for
First thing is, okay, that's important. Okay.
Don't show up and be arrested with
Actually, here's the funny part. There is no law. The mandates, even the ones your company tries to enforce, they are not laws. And when they call the sheriff, they're trying to get you on trespassing. The simple fact is, I work for this company. I have not resigned. They've been trying to get me to sign a document that allows them to fire me. You see? You make them fire you. You have to make them, if that's what they're going to do, fine, they can do it. But they're trying to put it on you. By you signing these documents, even with the VA, you're releasing them from your employment contract that actually protects you. Okay? It's fundamental. That's what they're trying to do. If they get you to sign off on that, it makes it easy for them to do whatever they want. So that's why it's so important to actually file a duress letter saying, hey, I only signed that out of duress and through your coercion. And when I put that out, by the way, if you notice with the VA, you know your daily email you get, the daily bulletin? Have you noticed that they've not been doing the coercion part of the, you owe it to all the veterans to get a vaccine? Since I put all my stuff in, that's stopped. Since I put that stuff in, they haven't even come back to let us know what they want us to do as far as that document they wanted us to sign, actual signature to. Because once you put your signature to something, that's part of your contract. And you can fundamentally violate your own contract. Matter of fact, if you do, by law, because they're already violating the non-discrimination part of the clause of their employment contract, you now become a party to their violation by signing your own document. Okay? The other thing is this, is that not only does that put the VA in a position of liability for discriminating against me and my civil rights, but also the individuals in the chain of command who have pushed this, even through their own ignorance, I can now sue them as individuals because they violated their contract and they are outside of the protection of the umbrella of that employment contract. That's something that most of these managers and stuff do not know.
If she attends work tomorrow and she has a current employment contract, she hasn't signed that, she hasn't been terminated,
Right.
and they threaten or actually do call the police,
So,
is she trespassing?
no, she has a job there. She has a job, she has a contract, an employment contract, and they have signed, the employer has signed a non-discrimination contract. I would tell the law officer very simply, number one, these mandates are not law. Number two, you cannot cite me. Number three, you can't remove me for cause at this point. The other thing I would suggest is that there's also public access laws, okay? And this is my job. I work here. I have not relinquished my position. If they want to fire me, well, they're going to have to fire me, but even if they do that, they're going to open themselves up to huge liability. What they're trying to do is get the easy way out and use law enforcement to accomplish that. And that's what you explain to the officer. The officer's going to be like, man, I got more important things to do than this. Right. And if they have, some people have their own security. Well, their own security generally doesn't know enough about what they're going to do as far as violating your rights in the moment. And fundamentally, that's it. See, you have to explain to them, I understand what you're doing. You're trying to get me to quit, so it's easy for you to just cast me off. I'm not going to quit. I do a good job. There's no legitimacy to you terminating me, except you're trying to impose yourself and violate my civil rights and discriminate against me. That's what you are doing. You are already guilty of these things. So,
I have all the emails
yeah. Well, see,
and videos on my phone.
when you give them like the law for ammo letters, and when you take a look at those, and I can't tell you, I've talked to so many people that know about my letters. They've been available forever. They're editable, they're free for everybody, and it gives you all the laws they're in violation of. And once they take a look at that, if they have any attorney on their staff, and that attorney takes one look at that and goes, you better back off. This person's going to be able to sue you eventually once all this stuff gets figured out, and when they do, you're going to be out of business. You're going to lose that person's going to own your business. And this person is actually giving you a chance. You're drawing the line in the sand behind them, pointing it out and giving them a chance to get back across it. And we're all good. No harm, no foul, right? That's really what you're doing.
So after watching the video yesterday, Paulie, whatever his last name is, where he went to the library and they called him for trespassing and they called the municipal police.
Mhm.
So Roseburg City Police showed up and the sheriff's office would not touch it.
Right.
So what are can she just go to the sheriff's office? and
Public,
make a complaint?
matter of fact, yes, you can. Yes, you can.
Kind of repeat what she said.
Okay, she wants to know what other recourse do you have? The sheriff would not enforce what they were trying to get him to enforce because the sheriff knows they'd be breaking the law, okay, by enforcing a non-law, okay? So it's like this, public access laws, everybody. Walmart, public access. Lowe's, public access, okay, for everybody. Some people say, well, it's a business, they can choose who they're going to do business with. Not in Oregon. As long as you're being polite and not destroying things and being nice and not being whatever, you're good. So be calm, be polite. The key here is this. When the sheriff calls up and they say, yeah, this guy wouldn't wear a mask and I tried to kick him out and he wouldn't leave. He's trespassing. Here's what I say to the sheriff. Sheriff, I'm so glad you're here. This person, as you can tell by what they just said to you, is violating the public access laws. Law. Actual law. You're a sheriff. You're a police officer. Your job is to enforce the law. This person just admitted to you they're violating the law. They're against me. I want you to cite this individual, and I want you to arrest them and take them to jail and process them. Because that's your job. That's what they just did, and they did it right in front of you. So, thank you. I'm going to go finish my shopping. Most of the people don't understand the law. It's one of the biggest problems we have. We've been so comfortable and confident and become complacent that we trusted a lot of the wrong people. And it's been to their advantage and not ours. So a big part of what we have to do is just educate ourselves and educate each other. You don't have to be a college graduate or a rocket scientist to know this stuff. You really don't. Yes?
So what is your suggestion for her for tomorrow?
For tomorrow? Well, let's see. I have an interview with Ann Vandersteel, I think, at 10 o'clock. And if you want, I'll come with you.
Should she put them on notice, one more email?
Yeah, well, let's put it this way. I'm going to talk to you after this, and we're going to draft up your little letters and stuff. We're going to put them all together, and so when you go in, you're going to file that stuff with us. I got copies of all this. Here's your copies. It's chin music, how to brush them off a plate, right? And you're giving them a chance. And that's how you say, listen, I'm giving you a chance here to not really screw yourself. Because fundamentally, that's what you're doing. Now, you think you're just accommodating our governor. All these mandates, all the sheriffs, what have they said? What has the county sheriff here said in this county? He is not enforcing any of these mandates because they are not laws. And if a company is enforcing a mandate, they're breaking the law, aren't they? Aha. So it's real simple. We're going to be calling the sheriff down here to have you and you and you and you cited, and I think a couple of you are going to be arrested because of what you've done. If that's really what you want, okay. Not a problem. Yes, sir.
So the question I've heard is that while the government can't enforce these mandates and the president can't enforce them, I've heard, quote, private industry can make their own rules and enforce their own vaccines.
But they cannot violate your civil rights. They cannot discriminate against you. And what they're doing is exactly that. See, Kate Brown and all those people, they're trying to get all the little guys to do their dirty business. Okay? That's what they're doing. And if they're stupid enough to fall for it, they're the ones that pay. Big Pharma, they have a get-out-of-jail-free card for all the people they're killing with this vaccine. Yeah, thanks to Congress and the sitting president. Yeah, that's who we have to thank for that. You can imagine who it is. It's gotten so ridiculous. So they get a get-out-of-jail-free card, but the company you work for does not. And they don't understand that, and we need to explain that to them. Yes?
What do you need tomorrow? Besides that, do you need childcare? Do you need anything like that? It's just, what time do you go to work? 8. Okay, and Sherry, by the way, said that I can text him anytime an employee is being harassed. So he said he will come and stand with the employee. So I can text him tonight and ask him to be there.
Let's put it this way. You're going to go in there loaded for bear. Okay? And so relax, please. You know, one of the biggest problems we have, you know, they say ignorance of the law is no excuse, right? That goes to them too. They're acting out of ignorance a lot of times. So a big part of the lawfare ammo and the whole idea that we had about this is not to create a whole bunch of lawsuits and plug up the court systems. That is not the goal. The goal is to get them a chance to correct themselves and take the lawfare ammo and go, wait a minute, really? I have something to go fight these guys with, and that's what they do. Food for less. It was a shock to me. A couple weekends ago, I found out that the guy that runs Food for Less here in Oregon, he found out about lawfare ammo. And you know what he did? He killed all mandates for his employees and the customers. So if you go into Food for Less, tell them thank you. Sherms. People are standing up, guys. And the more of us that stand up, the better off we are. Delta. Look at all the employees there said, you know what? We're not getting the shot. Bye. We'll be waiting for you to call us, right? Southwest is doing it now. Listen, people, united we stand, divided we fall. And right now, America, the big thing that Trump's been trying to get us to do is to unite and stand together. That's what we all have to do. And I know it's not easy, and I know there's going to be some rough spots. I get that. But the fact is, that's how we win. And for what we're doing here locally, it's a matter of education. Once they understand that and realize that, or worse yet, how many people have seen the videos of what they've been finding in the vaccines? What person in their right mind would put this parasite into you? And that's what they use to feed them. The more I learn about this, the more creeped out I get. I'll tell you what. That's right. It's an anti-parasitic. So the things that are anti-parasitics, that's what they're trying to kill. Yes, ma'am.
I was going to say, does anybody understand why the pharmacies are liable? Because of the Act 1986.
Yes.
Any child having a vaccination and immunization, they're not liable.
Right.
They used to be. And then, so now they can go overseas. So if you can't
It's a get-out-of-jail-free card.
get a hold of a video called the Act 1986, you can go on your computer. You may have to pay $10, but it helps us get the doctor who actually put it together.
Yeah. All I know is
It's very educational.
the amount of information that's available to us all is phenomenal. But you still have to educate yourself. And once you learn, share. Educate the people around you. You say, listen, I know you don't believe this stuff, but you need to check it out. Hey, you've already got the vaccine? You're safe, right? Well, you might want to check this out. Yeah, well, you can lead a horse to water, but sometimes you can't make him think, right?
What we're dealing with is a bunch of people that have been indoctrinated by the schools since about the 1990s.
They're trusting all the wrong people. And the worst part is that most conservatives, we work, we take care of our families, we're focused on that. We've avoided politics. I actually avoided politics. I didn't want to be getting into politics. I didn't care for that crowd. And what I learned was I couldn't trust that crowd. So at one point, I was in a meeting, and they said, we need someone to run against this guy because he's really a rhino and he's not doing anything. I'm like, okay. And they said, we need someone who's going to step up and who's not a career politician. I said, yeah, we need that guy. And then my mentor grabbed me, pulled me out in the hallway, and said, Paul, you should run for office. I'm like, no, I'm not a politician. He said, that's why you should run. So you'll hear me talk about this often, is that we need average Americans to step up into that arena. And we have them. We have old school, like you wouldn't believe, that don't have any predispositions, right? That is going to literally contribute to the monster. And for me, running for governor, that's not enough. My campaign is not just about me. It's about every seat in the legislature, every seat in Congress. I need good, solid people that'll step up into that arena. And you don't have to be an expert. I don't know if you guys knew this or not. When you become a congressman, how much congressman experience did you have before you became a congressman? 0. That's right. And when you get to Congress, what do? You go through training. Now, AOC skipped a lot of her training. My advice to you is don't skip your training. But once you get in there and you learn it, and you'll learn the good, the bad, and the ugly, the key is you have to keep yourself from being compromised or leverageable. That's really important. But if there's anybody here interested in running for office, you really need to talk with me. I need to talk with you. Yes, ma'am.
Can you give us that website address?
Basically, I got my business cards.
We'll post it in the call.
Make sure you get a business card before you leave. And on my website, romero4oregon.com, it's Romero, F-O-R, Oregon.com, there'll be Lawfare Ammo. It's a button. Now, that button is going to take you to actually another website. It's a site that I work with, Citizens Restoring Liberty. They started out there in Bandon, Oregon. An amazing organization run by amazing, awesome, above people.
I saw them speak last night.
Oh, yes, Scott, Rod, all those guys, just a phenomenal group of people, and they are legit to the core. And when I first met them, and I first went and spoke to a crowded room, and I went through all my information and all the things that I'm doing as a candidate. I'm actually doing the work of a governor now. And when I put all that stuff out there, and I answered every question they had, the hard ones especially, and they weren't expecting that, because they've had plenty of people go in there and do a song and dance. And when I was done, I got some feedback, a comment that was made by one person that was there. Said, I think this guy is more con than can. Whew. Boy, you want to talk about stealing my wool. That really chapped my backside, because I'm like, wait a minute. Here's what I'm actually doing. I can prove what I'm doing. Election fraud, tip of the spear, we're exposing it. That's why Shemaiah Fagan came out with that letter recently telling all the county clerks they couldn't do audits. It's because of what we're doing. We found the nerve. We found the truth, okay? The ability for each county to take back federal land, BLM, U.S. Forest Service land. It's a process. We have it. We have people to volunteer to help the county commissioners do it. And then the responsibility is the county must manage the forests. Must. Not can, must. It's a requirement. That puts every mill back to work, every log truck back to work, everything. But right now, we have timber wars going on in Oregon. Did you know that? Timber wars, yeah. Think about this. There's 3 major companies that are running the timber in Oregon right now. They don't want this to happen. And then there's county commissioners that are not participating in this opportunity that would make them a hero overnight. What does that say to you? Somebody's buying their stupidity, right? They've sold out too. So there's some county commissioners we need to get rid of. Here in Douglas County right now, to be honest, there's 3 of them. Okay, that's just the truth. Oh, and I got news for you. They all need to be run out of town, preferably on a rail, maybe tarred, feathered. You know what a county commissioner here in Douglas County makes every year? $92,000. Oh, you didn't know that. We're like one of the highest paid counties for county commissioners in the state. Yeah, isn't that something else? Do you think they earn that $92,000?
Do we have somebody to replace them, though?
Ah, that's the question. Actually, the answer is yes, we do. There are good, solid people here in the county that we can trust that will get in there and do the job of the people. But again, you have to take the time to screen people. You have to put the thumb screws to them. You got to do the research. You go check their backgrounds. Everybody that comes to me that wants to be a candidate, what do? I have a team of people that runs you through the ringer. We go do background checks. We look up everything. I want to know everything I can know about you so that we can deal with it, address it, and go, oh, this is nothing. This is normal life. This is okay. You didn't kill anybody. You didn't have 3 DUIs, that type of thing. You got to have a reasonable history. And once we find those candidates and they're willing to step up, it's work, and I understand that. But it doesn't mean you have to go in there and be that for 10 years. You don't have to be school board forever. You come in, do a term. There's your goal. Do 1 term, train 2 other people so they can know the ins and outs and so that they can step in line. It's kind of like jury duty, right? How many people likes jury duty? I do. Why? It's a chance for me to be an American and exercise my rights. It's awesome.
You don't want a bunch of dumbasses on your jury, so be a good one.
That's right. That's exactly right. I got to be on a major jury thing in Prineville, Oregon, and it involved a bunch of sheepdogs, very expensive dogs that had been shot and killed by some Oregon hunters. And they claimed that they didn't know they were sheepdogs. Yeah, but all the collars, the locator collars that were on those dogs, were all removed and hidden. Yeah, those guys are guilty. And that jury figured it out pretty dang quick. So that cost them a pretty penny. But again, like I said, all of us know good, solid people. There are plenty of people that have retired, school teachers, all kinds of old school people, and I'm a firm believer in old school. We have to get back to some of that. But we just need people to be honest, do the job that people represent. There you go. Yes, sir.
Yeah, could we kind of go back to our agenda? I appreciate everything.
Oh, yes, I'm sorry. Yeah.
But we did have a bunch of stuff we wanted.
Excellent. But anyway, thank you very much, and I'll be more than happy to answer any questions, and we have plenty of business cards, so there you go. Thank you so much.
All right. Thank you, Paul.
Real quick, there's a truck out in the parking lot with the lights on. It's a red older pickup truck.
Thank you for helping out. Appreciate that.
Yes, Paul, and we will post Paul's information again in the coalition group, and we can even send it out by email, those of you who are not on Telegram. So if you are not getting emails from us, please sign up. Just email to DC Citizens Coalition at Gmail, and we'll add you to our email list. So, okay, and Liz, we'll talk afterwards as well. Okay, so next on the agenda, we wanted to talk about our meeting that we did with a guy named Mike. He's from California, and he is the founder of Renegade Ranch, kind of a Italian name. But he opened so far a grocery store, and he's working in 46 states now, opening other private membership associations. So these are that's an organizational entity that's immune to state and federal laws, and that's how they're trying to protect themselves from the government intrusion. So this is what we're going to do here. We have a clinic that is going to become a PMA. We have a pharmacy that's going to become a PMA. I'm going to turn my business into PMA just so that I can experience it, so I can help others. We also have a meeting tomorrow morning with people who want to open a grocery store that's going to be a PMA. So for those of you who have not heard me speak about what PMA is, basically PMA stands for Private Membership Association, and it's like a family. So it's just like an entity, like you have sole proprietorship, an LLC, and an S Corp, except this is something that, we're not taught, but you would be probably surprised to find out that, something like Wells Fargo, they're a PMA. So why would you want to be a PMA? So in short, and go look it up, but PMA is like a family. So if you come to my house and, of course I have really good Russian vodka that I would immediately have you toast with, and you like that vodka, and I say, hey, I have a whole container sitting in the backyard, would you like to buy a bottle? And I sell it to you, I don't have to, the oil's involved. So that's kind of, an example that Mike likes to use, except he talks about tequila. So, but so what happens in your private home happens in your private home, unless there's harm done to the people. And of course, I wouldn't be selling to minors, when it comes to alcohol. So the regular laws still apply, but nobody is going to come into my house and put a mask on me, put a vaccine in my body. So that's the idea behind turning businesses into PMA. And then you can also take a step further to make it faith-based and not have to pay for abortion and things like that through your taxes. So So what we're doing locally is we're encouraging businesses to take that step, and I love Paul's outlook, optimistic outlook, and I'm an optimist who actually was the president of the local Optimist Club for a year, so just to prove my point. But still, you know, it's good to be prepared, right? So those PMAs will allow those of us who will be possibly denied services in the future to still receive those services. That's why we want a grocery store. That's why we want a hospital, a clinic, you know, schools, right? We need to do something with our teachers who are suffering right now. So if anybody here wants to start a school, let's get together and let's get it going. Okay, there we go. Oh, and by the way, if anybody here wants to run for a commissioner, come see Paul, because we do need candidates. All right, so now we're going to create a PMA also for this coalition, because the time has come for us to crowdfund for some things, and some things would be starting other local PMAs like a clinic, you know, because it does have some startup cost. Also, we're going to start spreading the truth in a more constructive manner. So we're going to be putting out yard signs, banners. We're going to be on radio, on TV, in the paper. So radio, TV, and paper will kind of be like, you know, very careful truth. The banners, the yard signs, stickers, and whatever, that will be whatever we want. And even some trigger points too, if we want to, for fun, right? So, but those things, you know, of course, will cost money. Tom Myers, so he is going to be doing the printing, and he is going to be doing it at cost for us. So he's supposed to get me the damage, so I will post it on the coalition page so you guys will know what our monthly budget for spreading the local truth is. And part of our local truth will be telling local stories. So we talked about it last time. It's one thing when you hear that something is going on in Australia, right, in Russia, in New York, but when it's somebody who lived next door, somebody you went to school with, that takes on a whole, you know, another meaning. So on November 4th, write this date down. We have Nate Frosland. He booked a whole day for us. It's a Thursday. And the whole day, we're going to be set up to record stories of local people. So if you have been injured by a shot, if you have been wrongfully terminated, if you have lost a loved one, if your loved one was a prisoner at a local hospital, if you work at a local hospital and you know about their protocol, anything that people need to know, if you'd like to come on and explain to us what fully vaccinated means, as opposed to, you know, 2 weeks, two shots, 13 days doesn't mean vaccinated. So, you know, we'd like to hear all of that. So the information that's not getting out, we're going to record it, and we're going to use it on different media, as well as I think what we're going to do is put QR codes, just like you guys seen on the flyers. And so maybe putting QR codes on yard signs so they don't look intimidating to people, but then if people scan them, they can go to a website where they can hear those stories. Yes, ma'am.
Last time we talked about sharing local stories, there was the option for doing this kind of like anonymously, but there was ways to that.
Yes. Yes, that is still something we will be able to do in production. So if you come on Thursday, November 4th, by the way, just sign up with me for a time slot. So we're still working on location, maybe here, depends on what Jeff says, but if you have a good location, let us know. But we don't have a location yet, but I need to hear from people so I can reserve your time slot. I think we're gonna do every half an hour. And yes, if you need your face blurred out, if you need your voice changed to a different person, we will do that for you. Okay? So spread the word. So again,
And if we could get a couple good positive stories, the whole thing of, you know, when we get a win, we want to be able to tell that story.
sounds good. Yes. Come and give people some hope as well. Okay? So we're up for that. So again, we're creating a PMA so we can legally crowdfund We are at the point where we will take donations, and if you want it to be cash, that's okay. Well, probably it will need to be cash. So, and then, so if you want to be a donor, come see us, let us know of your intention, okay? And it doesn't, like, you know how it goes. Every dollar helps, but this is going to go towards every yard sign that we produce. So I think a yard sign, usually what I pay for my business is about $3. So I'm assuming at cost it's going to be less. And then think of anybody that you know who could have a good story for us, okay? It doesn't have to be you. It could be somebody that you've heard about, okay? I hope David doesn't leave town yet by the 4th. Keep Hannah, keep him here until the 4th. You're free to go after that. Or you're not. All right, so that's all I have on the PMA. Like I said, tomorrow is an exciting day. We're meeting about a grocery store. Okay. Also, I have here, I don't know if you guys got to see, and I'm sorry for having to bring this garbage to church, but these are the printouts. Well, let's see, where's the... Here, that one comes with illustration. So, of the pages from a book that was advertised in the high school. We had it on the coalition. And, we went about it the nice way. We called, but they said, yeah, we'll take down the poster. And they didn't seem bothered by it at all. They said, we'll take down the poster, but the book stays. In fact, it's been there since 2016, and they said it's been the most checked out poetry book in the school. So I'm sure there are worse things there. And I spoke with an attorney about it. I spoke to the sheriff about it. Yes, distributing obscenity to minors is a federal offense, but there seems to be in the modern days this gray, line, gray area in what obscenity is. So unfortunately, so it would be really hard to prove. So what we're doing, we went to the Roseburg School District. They said file a complaint with the principal. And Sheila called the principal. I don't know where there's Sheila. So Sheila called the principal, and the principal's biggest concern was, she said, I wish you would have called me earlier so it didn't get blown out of proportion. So at this point, since that's what they're concerned with, I'm actually expecting a phone call from Project Veritas to blow it out of proportion even more. And so I did send them all of this stuff, and they did write back. They said that they'll be calling. And I also wrote to Lars Larson, and he said, wow, and I know somebody else was talking to him as well. Perfect. Yes. Okay, see me afterwards, and we will get together. Yes, Paul? Oh, perfect.
She used to work for Project Veritas. She's still connected with them. But I also have a whistleblower from the DHS on a huge case here in Oregon that's going to expose a lot from the state contract with 2 unions that's actually setting up illegals as child care providers and watching children that are also illegals. It's amazing what's going on. And it's not just in Oregon. I don't know. I think it is live in Mendersfield. It shows live. Still true. Yes.
Paul, you're part of the coalition group. Will you post the information for that, please? For the show for tomorrow. No. I'm saying in the coalition Telegram group, post the information about the Steel Truth. Okay, thank you. Yes, sir. Yes. Okay. Well, anyway, in my personal opinion, I don't know. I think the schools are far gone, and we just need to out with the old, in with the new, create our own. But still, it doesn't hurt to be an annoyance. So here's some complaint forms. Okay. Please fill one out, and we will attach to each one of them a stack of these images from the book. And I don't care that people say, therapy, whatever. Not all of us need therapy, especially not our children. And There's no argument in my mind that this is not obscenity. So anyway, so we're going to, so where it says to employee, make it to the principal because that's what superintendent requested, and then suggested solution, resolution, outcome. You know, we're just looking for those types of books not to be in school. Will it happen? I don't think so. But the next step after the dust settles, we'll just get a container of red pill books and put them at the Rosebrook High School. This way, you know, at least they're exposed to both sides of the story. Okay? So we'll have this over there. Please don't leave without filling one out. Yes, ma'am? You're welcome. Yes, you can put her name on there as well. Yes.
In my opinion, she should be removed because she knows exactly what is in that.
Now, there was some confusion of who the librarian is. Is it Marie? Is that the librarian?
We can fill out an example to model after with the correct names and spelling.
Yeah.
That everyone can copy that.
Do you want to do that right now?
Sure, I just need the principal's name and the librarian's name.
Jill Weber. Okay. Yeah, you can.
I was going to say a parent. I don't have children there, but if I were a parent of a student there, I would probably contact the principal and the librarian and the library assistant and ask them to provide me a list of the books in the library, at least ones of similar level to that content.
Right, is there more?
Well, and it's my understanding that my property taxes in Rosebrook pay for public schools, right? So I can request that as well.
Librarian's name.
I think it's in the coalition group, Marie something. You can look it up on their RHS website, okay? I guess it doesn't hurt if we put the principal, librarian, and superintendent. This way they don't say, okay, now write another complaint. Yes. Okay? Yes.
You know, the sad thing is I think that a lot of teachers become desensitized about this because we dealt with this with my son before we took him out of public school. He was sent home with some packets for high school reading, and I was just trying to help him like get through it. And I read this one story about, I don't know, somebody's going fishing and stuff, and it was like a really inappropriate sentence to describe this girl's chest looking in the moonlight and stuff. And I mean, I was having a fit because he's 15 at the time, and I'm like, I mean, I didn't totally get really descriptive of what it said, but it wasn't necessary in the whole story. So I raised a big stink about it to teachers and the principal. The principal said, well, why don't you just, wait to hear from the teachers? So I waited like for a week, and they finally sent me and said that I was the first parent in like 20 years who had ever complained about this story.
And that's a lot.
In 20 years. It's the same story they've fed for 20 years, so
Yeah.
it's really sad.
Well, like I said, I personally don't think it's going to be productive, but it can be annoying. So we'll do that. It doesn't take long. We'll just fill out a complaint form. Thank you for sharing, Janae.
I've been gone, but what has happened with Winston? I know they don't have open school board meetings now. Have the three?
Do we have any update on Winston Dillard? I know last thing I heard is they were collecting signatures for the recall. And they were going door to door, and they were trying to figure out the best way to reach people to get more signatures. That's the latest. So, no new updates. Okay? All right, well, I think that's all we have, right, Sheila, on our agenda. Paul, thank you so much for filling in some of our time today. And does anybody have anything to add? Sure. Thank you, Amanda. Come on up here. It sounds like a happy update.
Come on up here. So I'm a second-year nursing student. I shared at the last coalition meeting where we were at. So just briefly, if you weren't here, We were told that we had to self-withdraw from the program or face expulsion and Fs on our transcripts, and we would not have the ability to apply to other nursing schools. We asked for meetings with the faculty. We were refused meetings. We sent correspondence with questions, asking questions that they failed to respond to. In this process, we were connected with an attorney through the Pacific Justice Institute, Ray Hackey. Some of you maybe, I think he was at a coalition meeting. And he agreed to represent us, and he put our case at the top of the list. At the last coalition meeting, Joanne brought a letter that many of you signed that went to the college. So it all sort of happened like this domino effect. I think your letter showed up, and then our attorney sent a 6-page letter that said, you are aiding and abetting in discrimination. You are aiding and abetting mercy in discrimination, because they told us that they would not even look at our religious exemption requests and told us basically be vaccinated or withdraw. So they got the letters from the coalition, and then they got a letter from our attorney that went also to Mercy, and then I'll just back up. That week I had an instructor say to me, well, she said it not looking at me. She said, if you throw a fit in my presence, you will either leave willingly or I'll have you thrown out. Yeah. So that happened. That really happened. So I had made the decision, okay, we had to retain this attorney. We're just gonna, I guess, file this lawsuit and see where it goes. And I'd made the decision I was gonna withdraw because I was facing Fs on my transcripts. I was not gonna be able to apply to any other colleges, and things were kind of tense. So I stood up in class and gave an exit speech. And that was on a Thursday. And then the letters came in and the attorney came in, and then come Tuesday, we got an email from the principal or the president of the college saying, it has recently come to my attention that students are having a hard time obtaining religious exemptions. And we're going to be looking to find accommodations so that you can, you can achieve your academic goals and keep your religious views, practices. So that was like, oh, well, okay. I mean, maybe. And so I didn't withdraw. I had gave my exit speech, and I felt a relief, but in my spirit, I didn't have peace. So I thought, well, I'll just hold off. So I was like so thankful. So guess what? After my exit speech on Thursday, I got to go to class on Wednesday and say, I'm still here, psych. So that was fun. And then we got an email Thursday saying, hey, don't come to clinicals tomorrow. We're like, oh, goodness, we're on a roller coaster here. But sorry, I don't mean to drag this out. It's been fun. It's been crazy. But we were invited to a meeting that actually just happened tonight. The president met with us, and we were actually given 3 options. And one of the options is to remain in the program this year, complete our clinicals at Mercy with weekly testing. So that is huge. That's not being offered anywhere else in the state right now, you guys. That is huge. So thank you for your letters. Thank you for your support, because I do believe that made a difference. My husband was an employer at UCC. He's an electrician. And, an employee at UCC. He was an apprenticeship instructor, and he sent an email to the dean of his department and said, basically, the apathetic treatment of the nursing students will not allow me to keep UCC as an employer. So all of this stuff was sort of a domino effect, people standing up and saying, this is not okay. So thank you. No. They have purchased the tests, and they're going to provide the testing. And I'll tell you, they changed the book. You guys, I think I'm not supposed to be sharing this, but hey, caution to the wind, here I am. That's right. So we have a book we have to sign every year. It's like your contract. It's a handbook, yeah. And we received an email like going into this year saying, before they said get vaccinated or withdraw, they said basically if you're not vaccinated and you miss class because of it, that's on you, no accommodations. Guess what? If you miss a clinical day, we won't make it up and you're out of the program. So they were going to make it really hard. And so I think they got some pushback from that because it was obviously very discriminatory. And so they changed the entire handbook to tell all the students that we're not going to provide any accommodations for you if you get sick. Come on. No. So the president told us tonight that the accommodations would be made if we have to quarantine. So it's good news. It's really good news. So thank you. Good job.
Thank you, Amanda. All right. So our next coalition meeting will be in 2 weeks, November 1st. We're keeping it at 6. What's better for you guys, 6 or 7? 6? Okay, 6 is good. Bring more people. If you have a skill, share it with us. We'll recruit you, okay? And don't forget to stop by the counter and file a complaint with RHS. Okay, let's make a difference. Did you see? Letters work, okay? And yes?
Well, no, I think it's good. We can take a few minutes. It's only 7 minutes.
Okay. Yes. Oh, and by the way, Sheila asked me to mention that the federal subgroup on Telegram, they are doing an amazing job. So we needed to give them some kudos. So if you're not, by the way, just because you're not a federal employee doesn't mean that you can't be in that group. Get in the group, be a fly on the wall. Those guys are doing all the legwork. So, Paul, I think since you're a federal employee, you should be in that group too. Yeah.
And let's just close with this. I want to introduce you guys to Michaela. Anyway, she's prepared this document you guys have, and all it is, it's kind of what Tom spontaneously you came up here to just inform, because we need to be legally literate. It's the time is now for us to understand what our rights are, and to realize that what's happening and being passed down to us is a bunch of lies. Actually, it's based on nothing. In fact, there's not even mandates don't mean anything. There's barely even a rule when they say it's a rule, and that rule doesn't really have any teeth to it. And there's, so really what she's put together is just a document that sort of summarizes the beginning points of what some of your laws in. And I guess I was going to highlight a couple of those things that are in that document. You flip it over, and one of our state representatives wrote a big thing. And here's just some of the highlights of it. First of all, I wanted to say, did you know that I'm a pastor? So I just want you to say that the first 3 words that God made to man in Genesis chapter 2, when he formed him out of the dust, the first 3 words he said to him was, "You are free." And I want you to know that when God says, "I'm making man in my own image," that very first thing that he embedded into our very being was freedom, as a reflection of him. And so, having said that, just to let you know, in here, you can walk through with me. For those of you who know, these are a lot of things you guys already know, okay? For one, Kate Brown used Joe Biden's speech September 29th, and she basically said that the mandate is going to require workplace termination if you don't get a vaccine and stuff like that. And then right after that, we know that if you guys have listened to any of Joe Biden's speech contained, tonight I'm announcing a Department of Labor this is weird, developing a rule. I didn't even know. If you could slow this down, we don't want to take a lot of time, but there is no teeth to developing a rule. A rule doesn't mean anything. And the Department of Labor, this is an unelected bureaucratic group that somehow is going to be imposing something that's going to affect our ability to work in this country. So, and it's also developing, which means it hadn't been established. And to date, I think that the OSHA and the Department of Labor really still has nothing regarding what this means. But later in the speech, we heard him explicitly say, "I'm going to sign into executive order." And here's the one thing Joe Biden did do. He said he was going to require all, read this carefully, executive branch federal employees. That's not legislative. It's not judicial. It's not VA. It's executive branch. And there's a bunch of people listed in there that that were not included in that. Right? So I want you to know, this was what the mainstream media and Kate Brown, everybody just jumped on and just lit a fire under, and all of a sudden it became a national mandate. Right, Build Back Better, is that how we're going to do it? So, and I've signed another thing that will require federal contractors to do the same. You wonder why, Southwest Airlines, United Airlines, all those people are doing what they're doing and firing people? It's because they have federal contracts. That's why there's this pressure. So anyway, this is just information, okay? So Biden, this is actually from Yahoo News. This is the mainstream media just taking what Biden did and running with it and going way too far. Now look what the news said. Isn't it great that Biden last month ordered all federal workers, not all federal workers, what's the truth? Just a little tiny executive branch, not all of it, and contractors to be vaccinated, and they made this part up, and for all private employers who employ over 100. That was not in his speech. And of course, I don't know how you make laws out of speeches anyway. Is that how we get laws now? So to require staff to be vaccinated, anyway, and it covers over 1 million people. They're so happy that Joe Biden is doing this. It's just over 2/3 of the workforce in America is now going to be required to get a vaccine. So you can just see, this is just how it all unfolds. But the truth is we've been lied to. And we all, not something you guys don't know. And really, I love how Kate Brown did the exact same thing. This is her executive order. Guess what it says? COVID vaccination requirement. And these are in the links that if you want to take your paper out that she hands out, all these QR codes are different links to these very documents. Yeah. So you can scan these documents with your camera, and it'll take you to these documents online. This is her actual one. It says COVID-19 vaccination requirement for, look what it says, state, which branch? Executive branch only. In fact, it goes down and explicitly says that what an employee that's under this requirement, an employee is any person employed by the executive branch. It does not include a bunch of other people even. So, and then guess what the mainstream media does then? The mainstream media picks it up and does all their dirty work for them. And all of a sudden, we've got a statewide mandate out of that. So just need to know, this is all informing us. We need to realize we're being lied to. Our freedoms are being stripped away, and our livelihoods are at stake. And I first got into this coalition. I was like, I'm a pastor. This is a church, but this is a meeting, and we want to be a support and a help to all those people in our community who want the courage to stand up. And I was like, I'm not really sure if I'm ready to grab the pitchforks and, the torches, but I'm getting angry now. I'm getting upset. And you're getting upset too? You'll grab the pitchfork for me? Okay, that's fine. But I'm just saying, it's time to stand up and realize we are in the right. We are in the right. And there is evil that we're facing. I mean, this evil is not just evil, it's a demonic, dark evil that's I think, being pushed mostly by the mainstream media and these people. So you already know this. I didn't feel like you needed to, but that's what this document that she's been standing there. So would you just there's Michaela. She wants to make sure you leave with the document, that you have information, you realize what's going on around us. So I guess that's pretty much all I wanted to share. Okay? Yeah. Here, can you stand up?
I wanted to point out something that you said earlier. Oh, I don't like myself on a microphone. So our legislator, I'm a dental hygienist, but for the Oregon Board of Dentistry, there are people that go to the legislature and they make laws. Those are the ordinances that we have to follow. There's certain ordinances. If you were to look up for dental hygienists, for instance, I have all of these laws that I have to follow to keep my licensure. The OHA does not make laws. They're like police officers. Police officers don't make laws, they enforce the laws. Who makes the laws that the police officers enforce? Our legislatures do. Okay, so Kate Brown ordered the OHA to make a law. She couldn't do that. She did not have the power to do that because she is just a governor, and she doesn't have the power to tell the OHA to make a law, because the OHA doesn't make laws. It'd be like, for instance, police officers just going out and saying, oh, well, I'm just gonna start making up laws. That doesn't work like that. So anyway, I just wanted to point that out.
I want to thank this lady. This lady's amazing. She's teaching our
Which lady? This lady? Yeah.
Constitution to our children. Am I
Loretta is teaching a constitutional class at the Douglas County Republican headquarters every Thursday at 5 o'clock. I think they're in a series, but Patriot Academy, and she now offers it to children 9, 10, 11, 12, and teenagers.
That's awesome.
So it's an ongoing series, but she can start it again so you can make it to the first one and then see the whole thing through. And let me tell you, every Thursday at 2 o'clock in the afternoon with my 12-year-old son who could care less, I'm in tears learning about the Founding Fathers.
I know. Okay.
I don't have anything else to add.
Can I just say,
Go ahead.
I'm sorry. I want to point something out really quick. I have a copy of the mandate in my hand for healthcare workers. And this is one of the first paragraphs. It reads, there is emerging evidence that people infected with the Delta variant have similar viral loads regardless of vaccination status, suggesting that even vaccine breakthrough cases may transmit this variant effectively. But the very next sentence, being vaccinated is therefore critical to prevent the spread of the Delta virus. You guys, come on.
That's not even true, because the viral load of a vaccinated person with that virus is higher. And that's provable. Much, much higher.
This is the basis for their vaccine mandate. This is the very first
It is.
paragraph. This is the basis, and it says right here in black and white
And
that they know.
I want us to, I want you to grasp something, maybe on a spiritual way of looking at things. There are droves of people that are my friends, even some of them, that devour lies. They have been trained to devour lies, and they've gotten used to swallowing them, and just, that's their diet. And I feel sorry for them. In fact, one of my dearest friends tells me, I just don't understand why I keep hearing more and more now. All of a sudden, everybody's talking about freedom now. I mean, it really bothers me that they just don't go out and love. And what that means, you know what that means. The most loving thing is to get a vaccine because you're truly doing something for someone else, which confuses me because I thought you get a vaccine for a medical reason, for yourself. But you're obviously doing it it's hard for me to help them to understand how hard it is going to be for them to wake up. And at one point, it's just going to be really hard. I don't want to just judge all these people that don't see things and see that freedom is being stripped away from people. Yeah.
I just want to make this my latest mantra. I've got a lot of them, but my latest mantra is if, I'm being selfish when I don't get vaccinated, I'm being selfish. I have a question. How selfish is making our next generation of children get an experimental vaccine that is unknown what the long-term effects are for our next generation, and we're making them do that? They have statistically zero, they're statistically affected 0% by COVID. They are not affected at all, but we're making them get vaccinated so that they don't get us sick. I'm 50, 60, 70, 80 years old, and it's important that they take this unknown thing so that they don't get me sick. That is the most selfish thing a humanity could ever do, period. And yet, we're all going to do that.
For those of you that lost your jobs today, and I'm looking at one, I want to pray for you. Would you guys just put your hands around on someone that's needing prayer? And Father in heaven, my heart breaks for those whose livelihoods have been stripped away from them wrongfully. Jesus, I know that your scriptures, for decades I've been reading your word about different places in the scriptures where the Bible talks about people crying out for justice, and I never understood it for decades until now. What would happen to a culture at the very last moments of its being destroyed, that the very fabric of the culture is ripped apart, exposing a lack of justice, exposing lawlessness. And Jesus, we are seeing victims now. And we cry out to you. We know that you can lift us up above all of the clouds of darkness. We know that you are great and mighty, and we put our lives into your hands. And Jesus, right now I pray that you would speak to these people who've lost their livelihoods. You'd draw nearer to them than they ever have before. You would do exactly what you've promised. You would put your hands around them and guide them by your Spirit and tell them exactly where it is that you're going to lead them. And that you would open up doors of opportunity, and that they would feel like your presence has never been so close in their lives. And that they could begin to walk through any problem only because they know without a doubt that you are with them. So Jesus, I pray for them. Thank you. It's in your name we pray. Amen. All right. We're done.
We're done. Thank you guys for coming. We'll see you in 2 weeks. And don't forget, let's go, Brandon.
I've got Douglas County, Roseburg Public School complaint forms. Complaint forms. There they are.
Okay, and we're coming right now with ideas of what to put on the complaint form if you want to fill it out right now, which would be really helpful.